All right. Hello, I'm Lee. I'm back for part two, reading of the Fragments of a Zadokite work by R.H. Charles. I think it's like 1913. That's before they found the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is also considered, they changed the name to Damascus Document. So they found these in Egypt, and then in 1948 to 50s, they found the same thing. But more details, the Damascus Document. So R.H. Charles did not have the Qumran scrolls, but this was found in Egypt. And it looks like the people at Qumran, the Levites, John the Baptist, they had the Damascus Document, and then it traveled into Egypt. So here is chapter 10. Every man who puts under the ban a man amongst men, according to the ordinances of the Gentiles, is to be put to death. Under the ban, according to the ordinances of the Gentiles. And as for that which he hath said, thou shalt not take vengeance, nor bear a grudge against the children of thy people, every man of those who have entered into the covenant, who brings a charge against his neighbor, whom he has not rebuked before witnesses, and yet brings it in his fierce wrath, or recounts it to his elders in order to bring him into contempt, is taking vengeance and bearing a grudge. But naught is written, save that he taketh vengeance on his adversaries, and he beareth a grudge against his enemies, if he held his peace with regard to him from day to day, but in his fierce wrath spake against him in a matter of death. He hath testified against himself, because he did not give effect to the commandment of Yahuwah, who said to him, Thou shalt surely rebuke thy neighbor, and not bear sin because of him. As regards the oath touching that which he said, Thou shalt not avenge thee with thine own hand. The man who makes another man swear in the open field, that is, not in the presence of the judges, or owing to their commands, hath avenged himself with his own hand. So that's a little synopsis of how to properly rebuke. And as for anything that is lost, should it not be known who has stolen it, from the property of the camp in which the thing has been stolen, its owner shall proclaim it by the oath of cursing, and whoso hears, if he knows and declares it not, shall be held guilty. As for any restitution made by him who returns that which has not an owner, he who returns it shall confess to the priest, and that which was lost shall be given back to him, besides the ram of the guilt offering to the priest. And so everything that was lost and found and has no owner shall be given to the priest, for he who knows it knows not its law. If its owner is not found, they shall take charge of it. If a man in any matter trespasses against the law and his neighbor, and none but he sees it, if it be a matter of death, he shall make it known to the censor in the presence of the accused, in discharging the duty of reproof, and the censor shall write it down with his own hand. If he do it again before another, he shall return and make it known to the censor. So these are commandments. If he shall be called again before another, his judgment shall be executed. And if they are two, and they witness against him each on a different thing, the man shall be only excluded from the purity, provided that they are trustworthy, and that on the day on which they have seen the man, they make it known to the censor. And according to the statute, they shall accept 2 trustworthy witnesses, and not one, to exclude the purity. And there shall arise no witness before the judges to cause a man to be put to death at his mouth, whose days have not been fulfilled, so as to pass over unto those that are numbered, and who is not a man who fears Yahuwah. None shall be believed as a witness against his neighbor, who transgresses a word of the commandment with a high hand, until they are cleansed through repentance. And this is the order, chapter 11, in reference to the judges of the congregation. They shall amount to 10 men selected from the congregation according to the time defined, 4 of the tribe of Levi and Aaron, 6 of Israel, learned in the book of Hagu, the Hagu. It's always puzzled me in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It says Haggai. or not Haggai. What is it? Let's see. So 11. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas the knowledge this book is committed to the leaders of the parties, it is probably therefore a secret book containing traditional decisions. It's like the book the priest had. I can't remember where I saw that at. I think it's in. Oh, where's it at? I think it's in the temple scroll. There's a book that the priest had that nobody else had, so they could decide, they could go to the book and find out if somebody was a false prophet or not. I can't remember though. I think that's what that is. And in the ordinances of the covenant from 5 and 20 years old, even unto 60 years old, but none shall be appointed when he is 60 years old and upward to judge the congregation, for through the trespass of man his days were diminished, and when the wrath of Yahuwah was kindled against the inhabitants of the earth, he commanded their intelligence to depart from them before they completed their days. That's sad. We deserve it though. Chapter 12, as to being cleansed in water, no man shall wash in water that is filthy or insufficient for a man's bath. None shall cleanse himself in the waters of a vessel, and every pool and a rock in which there is not sufficient water for a bath, which an unclean person has touched, its water shall be unclean like the waters of the vessel. 13, as to the Sabbath, to observe it according to its law, no man shall do work on the 6th day from the time when the sun's orb in its fullness is still without the gate. For it is he who said, observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy. A lot of people say, look, the Sabbath starts at evening. Look at there. No. You got to understand context of what they're talking about. And Enoch tells you the sun's, it rises in this gate, sets in this gate. Rises in this gate, sets in this gate. From the time when the sun's orb in its fullness is still without the gate. So if you look at Matthew 28, in the end of the Sabbath, the 7th day of the week, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. So at dawn, as it was dawning toward the first day of the week, it was still the end of the Sabbath when it was dawning. Right? So, where's it at in John? Oh my goodness. Let's see. Sabbath. Sort by book order. Wow. Yeah, probably not going to find that. Well, there's Acts. Sorry for all the scrolling. 112, 109. That might be, let's see, 109, 108. All right, so we know when the seventh day was ending, Matthew 28, it began to dawn toward the first day of the week. John 20, the first day of the week. So it was dawning, cometh to Mary Magdalene early, see, while it was yet dark unto the sepulchre. You see, it's kind of dark in the morning before the sun fully comes up, and seeth the stone taken away from the sepulchre. So you go over here, and as to the Sabbath, to observe it according to its law, no man shall work on the sixth day. See, that end of, from the time when the sun's orb in its fullness is still without the gate. See, so transfer. See, here they're talking about the seventh to the first day. Here they're talking about the sixth day to the seventh day. So the same still applies to the seventh day morning being the end of Friday. See, fullness is still without its gate. So as soon as it exits and the dawn is complete, then it's the Sabbath day. That's what it's talking about. Observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And on the Sabbath day, no man shall utter a word of folly and vanity. No man shall lend aught to his neighbor. None shall dispute on matters of wealth and gain. None shall speak on matters of work and labor to be done on the following morning. I see this over and over again. People talk about money or work or something. You're not supposed to do that on the Sabbath. Come on, people. I have to tell my sons all the time and remind them, like, just read and do it. Isaiah 58:13, if thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath and from doing thy pleasure on my holy day. And so it's a holy day. So what's the other days of the week? Not holy days. Call the Sabbath a delight. I love the Sabbath. The holy of Yahuwah honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thine own ways. So you don't do your own things. You don't fish. You don't work. You don't work on your house. You know, you do that the other days of the week. I like fishing. Not fishing on the Sabbath. You'll see when he called the disciples, they were fishing. He called them, and then they went in the synagogue. What were they doing? They were fishing on the Sabbath. Nor finding thine own pleasure. What did Jubilee say? Not laying with your wife. Not finding your own pleasure, nor speaking your own words. What's he talking about? No man shall utter a word of folly and vanity. No man shall lend aught to his neighbor. That's why on the first day of the week in the New Testament, the apostles, Paul told them to take up money on the first day before he came. None shall dispute on matters of wealth and gain. None shall speak on matters of work and labor to be done on the following morning. The following morning, what's that mean? That means the Sabbath's over the following morning. It tells you right there. No man shall walk in the field to do work of his business. On the Sabbath day, none shall walk outside his city more than 1,000 cubits. It all lines up. Let's see, Sabbath. Yep. And they're not speaking anything new, Nick. I love you, but you got that one wrong. Let's see, Sabbath day's journey, Acts 1:12. Then returned they unto Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is from Jerusalem, a Sabbath day's journey. New Testament, Messiah's already crucified. What are they doing? They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. None shall walk outside of the city more than 1,000 cubits. And the way I did it is I just took and punched in the GPS. Okay, Mount Olivet to Jerusalem. How far is that? Okay, that's how far you can travel. You can do it by foot, and you can do it by car. Then you know. Hey Shelby, sister, how you doing? Let's see. So, no man shall eat on the Sabbath day aught save that which is prepared or perishing in the field, nor shall one eat or drink unless in the camp. If he was on the way and went down to wash, he may drink where he stands, but he shall not draw any vessel. Again, we're in the days of, we're not in these times. Things are a little different now. So we have to interpret it and base it based on our lifestyle. See, we don't go out and go down to wash. We got a tub in there in the house. Most people don't draw water in the vessel in anymore. You'd have to go out and draw water in the vessel. We've got it in our sink. No man shall send the son of a stranger to do his business on the Sabbath day. Yep, that's a commandment. Your family and your servants don't work on the Sabbath either. No man shall put on garments that are filthy or were bought by a Gentile unless they were washed in water or rubbed with frankincense. No man shall fast of his own will on the Sabbath. And they'll apply this to the Day of Atonement, saying, oh, you're not supposed to fast on Sabbath. Well, up here, it said the day of the fast was the Day of Atonement. So it don't contradict. You're not fast of his own will. That means you don't choose to fast on a Sabbath day, on a regular Sabbath day. There's exceptions, like the Messiah fasted for 40 days. Ezra fasted for 21. Baruch fasted for 21. Moses fasted for 40. Did they fast through the Sabbath? Yes, they did. But as a general rule, you don't fast on the Sabbath. No man shall walk after the animal to pasture it outside his city more than 2,000 cubits. None shall lift his hand to smite it with his fist. If it be stubborn, he shall not remove it out of his house. No man shall carry any. Now, see right here, no man shall walk after the animal to pasture it outside his city more than 2,000 cubits. It's like the Messiah talking about. Let's see. Yeah, they were saying something about him healing the man, and then he said, do you not let your animal out to water? Can't remember where it's at. No man shall carry anything from the house to the outside or out from outside into the house, and if he be in the vestibule, he shall not carry anything out of it or bring anything into it. None shall open the cover of a vessel that is pasted on the Sabbath. No man shall carry on him spices to go out or come in on the Sabbath. None shall lift up in his dwelling house rock or earth. Let not the nursing father take the suckling child to go out or to come in on the Sabbath. No man shall provoke his manservant or his maidservant or his hireling on the Sabbath. No man shall help an animal in its delivery on the Sabbath day. And if it falls into a pit or ditch, he shall not raise it out on the Sabbath. No man, I think that's right. Yeah. Don't raise out your animal. Search. Matthew 12, is that it? Matthew 12:11. He said unto them, What man shall there be among you that shall have one sheep, and if it fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, will he not lay hold of it and lift it out? How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore it is lawful to do well on the Sabbath days. So even the Pharisees weren't keeping that right there. No man shall rest in a place near to the Gentiles on the Sabbath. No man shall suffer himself to be polluted on the Sabbath for the sake of wealth or gain on the Sabbath. If any person falls into a place of water or into a place of, he shall not bring him up by a ladder or cord or instrument. No man, that would be considered work. But you can, I got a part missing here. You can still help him up. No man shall offer anything on the altar on the Sabbath, save the burnt offering of the Sabbath. For so it is written, excepting your Sabbaths. So they all apply. It's just our understanding of how they apply is the issue. It's not that they were doing anything wrong. The Messiah came and made a few things clear. It's okay to do good. You can heal men. We are considered sheep. Chapter 14, no man shall send to the altar burnt offering or meat offering or frankincense or wood through the hand of a man that is unclean, through any of the uncleannesses, allowing him to defile the altar, for it is written, the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination, but the prayer of the righteous is like an offering of delight. And none of those who enter into the house of worship shall enter when he is unclean, even though washed. And when the trumpets of the congregation sound, it shall be done before or after, and they shall not put an end to the whole service. The trumpets of the congregation. That the Sabbath is holy. No man shall lie with a woman in the city of the sanctuary to defile the city of the sanctuary by their impurity. Any man who is ruled by the spirits of Belial and speaks rebellion shall be judged by the judgment of the necromancer and the wizard. Youch. Speak against the commandments. And we don't do the, our offerings are obedience and prayer. Messiah's the sin offering. So we got a little bit different offerings now. That's what he wanted all along. Anyways, obedience. And he whom he leads astray into profaning the Sabbath and the feast shall not be put to death, but it shall be the duty of the sons of man to watch him. And should he be healed of it, they shall watch him 7 years, and then he shall come into the congregation. Sabbath and feast. None shall stretch out his hand to shed the blood of any man from among the Gentiles for the sake of wealth or gain, nor shall he take aught of their wealth, lest they blaspheme, unless by the counsel of the community of Israel. No man shall sell an animal or bird that is clean to the Gentiles, lest they sacrifice them, nor shall he sell them aught from his threshing floor or his winepress for all his property, nor shall he sell them his manservant or maidservant who entered with him into the covenant of Abraham. Covenant of Moses? No, covenant of Abraham. No man shall make himself abominable with any living creature or creeping thing. You remember he talked earlier in here about the new covenant. This the new covenant. By eating of them, or the defilements of bees, or of any living creature that moveth in the waters. Nor shall fish be eaten unless they were split alive and their blood was shed. But all the locusts after their kind shall come into the fire or into water whilst they are still living, for this is the manner of their creation. And all wood and stones and dust which are polluted by the uncleanness of man or are polluted like them, according to their uncleannesses. Uncleanness shall be unclean he who touches them, and every instrument, nail, or peg in the wall which is with the dead in the house shall be unclean, like the uncleanness of an instrument of work. 15. The regulation of the dwellers in the cities of Israel according to these judgments, that a difference may be made between the unclean and the clean, and to make known the difference between the holy and the common. And these statutes are to give instruction, so that the whole nation may walk in them according to the law always. According to this law shall walk the seed of Israel, and they shall not be cursed. A couple things we didn't look at earlier. Romans 8 tells you, chapter 5, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against Yahuwah, for it is not subject to the law of Yahuwah, neither indeed can it be. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please Yahuwah. But you are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit, if so be that the Spirit of Yahuwah dwell in you. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Messiah, he is none of his. So is he saying the law is done away with? No, he's not. Romans 7:14, for we know the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. The law is spiritual. The law is holy, good. Romans 7:12, wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment is holy and just and good. And Peter tells us also, holy nation. 1 Peter 2:9, but you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of him who hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. What's the light? Isaiah 8:20, the law. They speak not according to the law and the testimony. There's no light in them. We'll pull it up right quick. To the law, no light in them. So it makes a difference between the holy and the common. So a holy day is the Sabbath. That means the rest of the days are common days. And this is the regulation of the dwellers, according to which they should act during the period of the wickedness until there arises the Messiah from Aaron and Israel, up to 10 men at least, 2,000s and hundreds and fifties and tens. And when there arise 10, the man who is a priest, learned in the book of Hagu, the Hagu, shall not depart. According to his word shall they all be ruled. And if he is not expert in all these, but a man of levites is expert in these, the lot shall be that all those that enter into the camp shall go out and come in according to his word. And if there be a judgment regarding the law of leprosy which is in a man, then the priest shall come and stand in the camp, and the censor shall instruct him in the true meaning of the law. And even if he is lacking in understanding, he shall shut him up, for unto them the priest is the judgment. And this is the regulation of the censor of the camp. He shall instruct the many in the works of Yahuwah, and shall make them understand his wondrous mighty acts, and shall narrate before them the things of the world since its creation. He shall have mercy upon them as a father upon his children, and shall forgive all that have incurred guilt. As a shepherd with his flock, he shall loose all the bonds of their knots, oppressed and crushed in his congregation. And everyone who joins his congregation, he shall reckon him according to his works, his understanding, his might, his strength, and his wealth. And they shall record him in his place in accordance with his position in a lot of the camp. No man of the children of the camp shall have power to bring a man into the congregation without the word of the censor of the camp. Nor shall any man of them who have entered into the covenant of Yahuwah do business with the children of the pit, unless hand to hand. No man shall do a thing as buying and selling, unless he has spoken to the censor of the camp, and he shall do it in the camp, and so to him who cast forth. Got some breaks here. They and he who is not connected with, and this is the settlement of the camps, all shall not succeed to settle in the land that have not come from the day that Ephraim departed from Judah, northern kingdom. And as for all who walk in these, the covenant of Yahuwah standeth fast unto them to save them from all the snares of the pit. For suddenly, 17, and the regulation of the dwellers of all the camps is, they shall be numbered all by their names, the priest first, the Levite second, the children of Israel third, and the proselyte fourth. Oh, there's some Gentiles. grafted in, and they shall be recorded by their names, one after another, the priest first, the Levite second, the children of Israel third, and the proselyte fourth. And so they shall be seated, and so they shall ask with regard to every matter. And the priest who numbers the many shall be from 30 years old, even unto 60 years old, learned in the book of the Hagu, and all the judgments of the law, to direct them according to their judgments. And the censor who is over all the camps shall be from 30 years old even unto 50 years old, a master in every council of men and in every tongue. Oh boy, look at that. You got to know, had to know other languages. So that's why they were translating those scrolls into Greek. They were translating them into Aramaic in the Dead Sea Scrolls. They had the Paleo-Hebrew. According to his word shall come in those who enter the congregation, every man in his due order. And as regards any matter on which it shall be incumbent for any man to speak, he shall speak to the censor in regard to any suit or cause. And this is the regulation for the many in order to provide for all their needs. The wages of 2 days every month is the rule, and they shall give it into the hands of the censor and the judges. From it they shall give, and from it they shall strengthen the hand of the poor and the needy, and the aged man who First Corinthians 16:2, and upon the first day of the week, let every one of you lay by him in store, as Yahuwah hath prospered him, that there be no gatherings when I come. It's supposed to gather their donations. And to the vagrant and him who is taken captive of strange people, and to the virgin who has no dot, and to him whom no man careth for, the virgin who has no dot. Interesting. Isn't there a group of people that put a dot on their head? To him whom no man careth for every work and not, and this is the explanation of the settlement, and this is the explanation of the judgments which the Messiah from Aaron in Israel, and he will pardon our sins and money, and he shall know punishment 6 days, and who shall speak against Moses? 19. Shall not swear either by the Aleph Lamed or by Aleph Daleth, but by the oath written in the curses of the covenant. But the law of Moses he shall not mention, for, and if he swears and transgresses, he profanes the name. So they need the Father's name. And if by the curses of the covenant, the judges, and if he transgress, he shall be held guilty. But if he confess and make restitution, he shall not bear the penalty of death. And whosoever in all Israel shall enter into the covenant by a statute forever, together with their children who are not of an age to pass over into the number of those who are enrolled by the oath of the covenant, shall confirm it on their behalf. And this is also the law throughout the entire period of the wickedness. For everyone who returns from his corrupt way, we're at the end of the period of wickedness now. On the day when he speaks with the censor of the many, I'll show you right quick. Yes, Enoch is scripture. Yes, it's quoted all through the scriptures. It was used. It was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, quoted by the Levites. Scripture, scripture, scripture. I've went over that several videos. Let's see. That's going to be. Let me look it up. Sword given. Is it Enoch 80? Can't remember. Or Enoch 50? Let's see. Chapter 91. So Roman numerals. 91. That's weird. In this they've got 92, 91. Let's see. Yep, he gives. So this is 93. A man will ascend. That's the Messiah. And at its close, the house of dominion shall be burnt with fire. Jerusalem and the temple. The whole race of the chosen root shall be dispersed. That happened. After that, in the 7th week shall an apostate generation arise, and many shall be its deeds, and all its deeds shall be apostate. We got the Catholic Church, we got Judaism, we got everything. Or the whole 17 plus 100 years are apostate. At its close shall be elected the elect righteous of the internal plant of righteousness to receive sevenfold instruction and wisdom. That's in another translation. Yep. And after that there shall be another, the 8th week, that of righteousness, and a sword shall be given to it, that a righteous judgment shall be executed on the oppressors, and sinners shall be delivered into the hands of the righteous. Stay tuned. Let's see. This, on the day when he speaks with the censor of the many, they shall enroll him by the oath of the covenant that Moses established with Israel, the covenant to return to the law of Moses with all his heart and with all his soul, as regards that which there is found to be done by them. Return to Moses with all your heart, with all your soul, right? Matthew 22:37, Yahushua said unto him, Thou shalt love Yahuwah thy Elohim with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And we got a missing piece here, but we got heart and we got soul. And no man shall make known to him the laws until he stand before the censor, who shall search out concerning him when he examines him, and when he imposes it upon him to return the law of Moses with all his heart and with all his soul of him. And if everything that was revealed of the law with regard to a suit, missing parts in him, the censor him, and shall command him until killed him and the madman and all, loss of 5 lines, covenant with you and with the whole of Israel. Therefore the man shall impose it upon himself to return the law of Moses, for in it everything is accurately treated. And the Dead Sea Scrolls says in it everything is accurately defined. And it references the book of Jubilees, chapter 20. As for the exact statement, there appears to put Israel in remembrance in regard to all these. Behold, it is treated accurately in the book of the divisions of the seasons according to their jubilees and their weeks. That's the full title of the book of Jubilees. Book of divisions of seasons according to their jubilees and their weeks. And on the day on which the man imposes it upon himself to return the law of Moses, the angel of Mastema will depart from him if he make good his word. Therefore Abraham was circumcised on the day of his knowing it. So guess what? When Abraham returned to the law, because he was born to an idolater, he was circumcised on the day of his knowing it. As to what he said, that which is gone forth from thy lips thou shalt keep to make it good. No binding oath which a man imposes upon himself with a view to perform a commandment of the law shall he cancel, even at the risk of death. Nothing which a man imposes upon himself with a view to frustrate the law shall he make good, even at the risk of death. As for the oath of the woman, whose oath Moses said should be disallowed, no man shall disallow an oath which no man knew. It is to be confirmed, and whether it be to disallow or to transgress the covenant, he shall disallow it and not confirm it. And so is also the law for her father. That's straight out of Moses. As for the law of the offerings, no man shall vow anything for the altar under compulsion, nor shall the priest take anything from the Israelites, nor shall a man dedicate the food. This is what he said, they hunt every man his brother with a net, nor shall devote of all his possession, wholly shall be punished he who takes a vow to the judge. Missing a lot of parts, so that's hard to understand that. Addendum on, or appendix on 9, this clause is clearly derived from Micah 2. Yeah. Our author says that Pharisees heed neither the facts of the present as to God's wrath against the nation, nor the words of Moses in the past, owing to a false prophet. The clause referring to this false prophet is corrupt both in A and B, but by comparison of the two, we can in some measure recover the original. A and B are as follows, the words dependent on Micah, whether corrupt or not, being underlined. Here, Mem, Bait, Vav, Hate, Lamed. And A is wrong emendation of Hate, Vav, Lamed, Dalet. Not sure. Next, corrupt for corruption. I like to try to read them, trying to learn the letters. For one who walked in the spirit of falsehood and taught lies, taught to them. Hence we restore as follows. Of course, it would be possible to translate, which I have rendered despite all these things, as meaning all these things, and render thus by all, but all these things they perceived not, that the wrath of God, nor that Moses said. Interesting. So yeah, that is good stuff. Fragments of a Zadokite work. Zadok. And you got Ezekiel 48:11. It shall be for the priests that are sanctified of the sons of Zadok, which have kept my charge, which went not astray when the children of Israel went astray, as the Levites went astray. And it's pretty much the new temple instructions here in Ezekiel. Yep. This fragment of the Zadokite work was found in Cairo, Geniza. Later on, years later, they changed the name to Damascus Document for the Dead Sea Scrolls. So I just now learned that that was the same thing. They're not Essenes. Yeah, so fragments in Cairo were originally called Zadokite fragments, but after the work was found at Qumran, the name was changed because the document had numerous references to Damascus. That's another interesting thing. Found over 190,000 manuscripts and fragments, mainly in Hebrew and Judeo-Arabic. Why do people not talk about those? Learn something new every day. Yep. So, all right. Well, I hope that was a blessing and helpful. I find it really interesting and edifying.